Great.
Hi, my name is Jay Scheffler, and I'm a professional real estate agent with Vernon Realty here in Concho, Arizona. Vernon Realty itself, the office is located in Vernon, Arizona. And the purpose of this video is because we get so many requests for folks that want to live in remote locations in the White Mountains from all over the country. And being a resident at one time of Chicago myself, I can tell you that remote in a major metropolitan area like Chicago, even if you're living in the northwest suburbs, is not the same kind of definition of what we have as remote. Right here on my porch is where we're going to start the tour. This will give you an idea of the expanse of land that we have available out in the White Mountains. I think I can safely say that we have some of the least expensive large acreages available as any place in the United States. And you can see right now at this time of the year, we're filming this in August. This is absolutely a beautiful time. The monsoons have been coming through at this time of year, and it's absolutely green and beautiful. If you look closely, you can see that the horizon is dotted with a small amount of houses. There are people that live out in this area. Right now, we're approximately 25 miles from the largest town in the White Mountains, which is Show Low, Arizona. We're going to take you on a tour. We thought we'd start here and we'll end here. And we're going to go up to the town of Show Low, Arizona. I'm going to start at one end and work my way all the way through until we end up right back here at my porch. Hopefully this will give you an idea of the type of topography of the area, the amount of density when it comes to population, and the kind of scenery and beauty that you'll get if you decide to make your home in the White Mountains. With no further ado, we'll start, and the next time you see me, I will be filming from the town of Show Low, Arizona. Well, as I promised, here I am, starting at the edge of Show Low. Right now I'm standing in front of Show Low's major Victorian landmark. This is the Victorian house that's on the corner of the Deuce of Clubs, which would be over to my left. And on my right, you will see the road that goes 260. This road goes down to Phoenix through Heber, Overgard, and down into Payson. The Deuce of Clubs is the main drag that goes through the center of Show Low. And you'll see that we have a lot of traffic Sunday right now. And this is the main thoroughfare. This connects all of the major cities to the White Mountains. 60 that runs to the west is the road that'll take you to Phoenix on the east side, and further if you go south and further east, you're going to hit the town of Tucson. So this is the main thoroughfare. One of the interesting things about the White Mountains, it reminds me of my childhood when I grew up in Detroit, because my father worked at the Chrysler Corporation for 50 years down in Detroit, but we had a cabin in the north part of Michigan. The White Mountains is an awful lot like that. We have a lot of population that is to our west and south, and those folks work all week long, and in the summer the heat gets up to about 120 degrees in Tucson and Phoenix, whereas in the White Mountains our high-end temperature can be something like 89, maybe 90 on a really hot day. As we drive through, you'll see that Show Low has a lot of the tall pines, which when we started out in Concho, you noticed that there's not a lot of tall pines. We're primarily juniper in that part of the country. So this will give you a point of reference. This is the hub of the White Mountains. This is where commerce takes place. If you were to come to Walmart or go grocery shopping or go to Kmart in town or to buy a vehicle, you would come to Show Low. Now we're going to go a little further down the road as we're going east towards Concho, and I'll give you the nickel tour of the town. Little town, we actually got our name from a card game, and I will show you our little landmark that tells the story of that card game. For right now, we're getting ready to go past the White Mountain campus for Northland Pioneer College. That is going to be over here to the right of us. It looks a little cockeyed. Okay, there we go. And on the left side of the road, you will see the park for the city of Show Low. We're just now starting to get into the commerce area of Show Low. You will see that we're going past one of our major grocery stores. This is the Safeway that's over here on the left side of the road. And then we have car dealership. This is our Chevy dealership in town. This is called Horn Chevrolet. Kmart on this side of the road. And this is a really great Mexican restaurant. It's called Lacano's. You can get steak there as well. My husband and I like to go there. And now we're basically hitting the main drag of Show Low. You've got the Days Inn on the left. And this is our Jeep Chrysler store. This is called Hatch Jeep Chrysler. I've bought cars from them. They're very good. They treat you very well. We've got Ace over here on this side of the road, and the post office. Right here we have Central Avenue. This is one of our cross sections. This will take you the back way, and it saves a little bit of time if you take the shortcut here. This will take you the back way if you were going to Pine Top Lakeside. This is a little plaza that we have over here on the right. This is where we have Cal Ranch and Raleigh Auto Parts. I would say that if you are driving the main drag, which is the Deuce of Clubs here in Show Low, that you would say that this is pretty much a normal small town road main drag that would take you through any small town in America. As you can see, you will see that the town is dotted with pine trees, and that is one of the big appeals to living in the Show Low Pine Top Lakeside area, is we have the tall pines here, which we don't have when you get out to the Vernon Concho area. Also, most streets are paved. The main areas going into Show Low, Pine Top and Lakeside, along the main roads generally have natural gas, and they have, all the amenities, metered water, electric. I'm turning onto a little side street here called the Cooley-Doo Split, and this is going to take us to the statue I told you I'd show you of Show Low. All right, I'm standing in front of the statue here in Show Low. This is how the town got its name. As the story goes, Cooley and Clark were two ranchers that were in the area in the 1800s, and they had a dispute over something. I've never been quite clear as to what the dispute was all about. We have a plaque down here in front that tells the whole story. But they decided to settle the dispute with a card game. So they sat down to play cards to determine who the winner would be, and the winner was going to get the whole territory, and the loser would leave. And they played cards all night, and at the end of the night they were still dead even. So they decided that they would do one last game, and the game was Show Low. And as it turns out, it was Cooley, I believe, that won the card game. And although I could be wrong about that, and the way he won was he drew the Deuce of Clubs. And the Deuce of Clubs, of course, was the low card in the game, and that is what ended up determining how Show Low would end up going to that winner. And the loser left. In honor of that, the town was named Show Low, because of the winner drawing the deuce of clubs. Our main drag is called the deuce of clubs. And of course we went down the Cooley Deuce Split, which of course is named after one of our card players. So this will give you a little background as to how the town got its name. Okay, right now we are standing right at the corner of the Deuce of Clubs and White Mountain Boulevard. The camera right now is pointed up White Mountain Boulevard. If you were to take this road, it would take you to Lakeside and then to Pine Top. Down this road is where you would find Walmart and another Safeway store and more commerce down this particular direction. It's also where you would find the hospital for the area. And if we pan over, okay, now what you're seeing is the other bank across the street. I'm standing at the Chase, and this is the road that will take us back out to Concho. So this is again 60 that runs through the center of Show Low, and it'll take us right back up to the Concho area where we started. Well, no tour of the White Mountains could be complete without me showing you this little piece of paradise that I've got behind me. One of the biggest requests that I get when people call me looking for land in the White Mountains is they want something like this. They want the tall pine trees and they want the nice little creek running through the back of their lot. If I get one call for this a week, I get 100 calls for this. You can find this up here, but not for less than a couple $1 million. So I hope I'm not busting your bubble, but this beautiful acreage here with the creek running through it and the tall pines on either side with this lush green meadow is most likely not what you're going to find unless you're in the $1 million+ price range. We have beautiful, beautiful acreage up here, lots of wonderful grassland for horses, beautiful trees, fabulous views and scenery, but you're not going to get this for a $10,000 investment. And I bring you here because this is one of the places that is the selling point of the White Mountains. It's one of the most beautiful spots we have in Show Low. And probably the reason why Cooley and Clark were fighting over the territory. When Cooley won the card game, he named his ranch Show Low. So basically we're standing on Cooley's ranch right now. And you can really understand why a very small western town in the middle of nowhere could be the destination of so many people, no matter what the price range they have to spend. We're going to go head up to Concho now, and I'll show you some of the land that most likely most of you would be able to afford within budget, and then we'll end our tour right back where we started. Okay. All right, we're standing at the intersection of Penrod Road, which is also affectionately called Porter Mountain Road. And if you take a look down this road where the camera's pointed right now, this is the backside of that beautiful little area that we were just at. Now we're going to pan over here, and this is the intersection of 77 and the Deuce of Clubs, where you see the Maverick there. If you were to make the left-hand turn here at this intersection, it would take you back to Snowflake Taylor. We're going to be going straight ahead past the Maverick on 60, and that's going to take us back to Concho. We'll make a couple of stops along the way so that you can see exactly what the landscape is like.
Okay.
Okay, I thought I would take you for a little quick drive through the airport. This is a small airport, but it does serve Phoenix, and I believe it also has connecting flights to Albuquerque and a few other destinations, Denver. So you can get an air flight out of Show Low to another more major airport.
Great Lakes Airlines.
It's called Great Lakes Airlines, and they leave twice a day. They leave in the morning at around 8 o'clock. And then they fly back in at about 5 o'clock in the evening. So if you are wondering if you could fly in and out of Show Low, I thought that I would just take you on a little quick nickel tour here of Show Low's airport. And this will give you an idea of the size. You're not going to get in a very big airplane in here. They're going to be more commuter planes, but they are connecting to some of the major cities in the area. now we're about 1 mile to a mile and a half outside of Show Low, and we're still on Highway 60, but this will give you a good idea of how populated it is out here. Not. This is, a lot of this in front of us you're going to see is state land. Some of it is national forest, and it is always checkerboarded in with some privately held land. One of the things about Arizona that makes us a little unique is how much real private land there actually is available for the public. You know, you'd think with a state this big that we would have a lot for sale, and we do, but we have even more that belongs to the federal government, the state government, and the Indian tribes. So this is just about a mile outside of Show Low. We're driving right now on Highway 60, and we've got the camera rolling just so that you can kind of get an idea of how populated this is out here. It's not populated. This is what I would call remote. Right now I believe we're going through the Sitgraves National Forest, which would be federal land, although we could also be going through state lands too, because a lot of them checkerboard along this area. But as you can see, there really isn't anything out here as far as shopping is concerned. No mini malls, no strip malls, no big malls. If you come out to the White Mountains, hopefully you're coming looking for this, which is peace and quiet and country living and the ability to really kind of live your life the way you want to live it. Our city municipalities and our counties, Apache County for the area where Concho, St. John's, and Vernon sit, and then Navajo County where Show Low sits, tend to be very uninvasive. They really do not get too much into the business of their residents. Of course, we have zoning and we have building codes just like any other area or community would have. It's just that you find a whole lot less of them. Less intrusiveness, less neighbors, less HOAs, less of the things that I actually left Chicago for. So this will just give you an idea of what the expanse of the area is. We are right now about 3 miles outside of Show Low. The little area I'm showing you right now is called North Fork Ranches. It's got a lot of population back there. They're usually about 5-acre home sites, a lot of site-built homes, but some manufactured homes as well. Usually you get water, power, and utilities up there, not natural gas. When you get out this far from Show Low, we're approximately 9 miles right now, what you're going to get is a lot of LP delivery. Or in the White Mountains, we survive, a lot of us survive fully all winter long on a pellet stove, which will heat our house for the entire season. So this is a little area that's populated a little closer to town. It's about 9 miles from Show Low, called North Fork Ranches. In front of us, we have an area. This is called the Y. And what's important about this is the branch. If you were to stay to the right, where you see that trailer going right now, that fifth wheel, that road will take you to Springerville. If you make the turn, like you see the truck with the trailer in front of you turning onto that little side road, and then you can continue up the mountain, that's Highway 61, and that is the road that connects Vernon, Concho, St. John's, and it will also connect you to 188, which will take you to Holbrook, Arizona. So in front you'll see a little set of buildings, and that is called the Stanford General Store. People ask us when we live this far out where we go for milk or bread, or we stop to get fuel. That would be one of the stops. It's the Stanford General Store, and it's about halfway between, say, Concho and Show Low. We're at the top of the Y right now. This is probably one of the best examples of why people come to the White Mountains. This is absolutely beautiful territory. Not a lot of people. It's very quiet. There are places where you get good electric and sometimes even water. We're looking down at Vernon right now, in the area of Vernon. You're going to see a bunch of vegetation that tends to lean towards pinyon pines, which are the taller pines you see, and juniper. but this is just kind of overlooking the area of Vernon, and of course one of the main reasons that people become attracted to this area. This is Eagle Ridge, a nice little community about 12 to 13 miles outside of Show Low right now. It's set up and manufactured homes are allowed here. Acreage tends to be about an acre apiece. You have power, water, phone. This is a very nice community on gravel roads throughout, easy access in and out, and just a really popular little community for folks that really don't want to live off the grid and want to be a little bit closer to town. Right now we're about 12 miles from Show Low. We're standing at the top of 3148. This is just on the other side of what we call the Y, the top of the Y. 3148 is also called the Show Low Crossroads because it connects Highway 60 that heads to Springerville and Highway 61 that heads down to Concho. The camera is pointed right now at the expanse of area that would be considered Concho and Concho Valley. As you can see, it's very vast and open. There are homes along there, and there are lots of small roads like 3148 that have homes, electric, and some amenities through. Although when you get to this point, you are going to have to depend on septic systems and drilling wells. Sometimes you're going to have to go with an alternative system when it comes to electric, like solar. But it's a very, very good part of the country if you want to get involved with green living. Okay, I'm standing on Branding Iron Road now, right off of Highway 61. I just turned in and crossed the cattle guard. As you can see, one of the things that you will be missing when you look at this picture is there is no electric here. This is a pretty good example of the kind of property we have up here that would be considered a self-sufficient property. You're going to be looking for some kind of alternative system for the most part when it comes to electricity, probably solar or wind, and you're going to be drilling your own well. You're also going to be putting in your own septic system. There is electric on the other side of the road, which we'll be able to pan over there and show you the electric on the other side. However, when you go to bring the electric in to some of these remote areas like you're looking at right now, what you're going to find is that this is not something that's inexpensive to do. So most folks decide that they want to go solar when they're looking at property like this. I can with pretty confidently tell you that we were doing solar and living green long before the phrase ever became popular with the media. Living green is something that Arizonans have kind of invented. We have more sunny days than any other state just about in the nation. When you're looking in the west, we have probably 300 days of sun that would allow you to run power. You're just not going to live exactly the same way you do in the city. You learn to be a little bit more conservative with water, with power. And so living off the grid, which is what we call it, is something that you need to go into very, very carefully. It needs to be a decision that you make as a family, and you need to educate yourself on what it means to live off the grid. But this is the kind of property that you're going to see on the Vernon Realty site when you're looking at things that are less expensive. Right now we're about 20 miles from Show Low, and as you can see, there's not a lot out here as far as neighbors, so you do get to live with privacy and you get to stretch out. We have horses, RVs. You can see this vast expanse of beautiful grassland that we have out here. So if you have horses and you like to ride and play cowboy, you're not going to play cowboy out here. You're going to be a cowboy. So if this is kind of what you're looking for, you can get this property for a very good price. You just have to be prepared to alter your lifestyle a bit when it comes to living off the grid and living green.
Wow.
This is Concho Lake. Right now the water level's a little bit low, but this is actually a holding area for a lot of the irrigation that goes out to handle a lot of our farming out here. There is electric out in this area. There was a golf course. It's not being used as a golf course now anymore. It's being developed into home sites. But within that area are some very nice site-built homes, and there's water, power, and electric. Of course, you know, you've got your electric. They're more traditional looking homes, site-built, and you can actually get into a very nice home in this area for about $100,000 or a little bit more, depending on the house. This is a nice area of Concho. The lake is usually a little bit deeper when we're not irrigating. Right now at the end of August, crops are still being taken care of, so the water level's a little bit lower. But this is the Concho Lake area, and we also affectionately call it the Old Country Club area, because when we actually had a golf course before it got put into development, there were a lot of homes around the country club. So we have very nice site-built homes out in this area. Well, this is where we started our tour, and this is where we'll end. The perfect end of a beautiful day in the White Mountains, which is a shot of the sunset behind us. You know, if someone would have told me 20 years ago, when I was selling advertising as an executive in Chicago, that I would someday live in a place like this, drive a pickup truck, own a pack of hound dogs, and a gun safe, I would have told them that they were a little bit crazy. But yet here we are. If you have a dream to come to an area like this, to have your own little piece of paradise, whether it's an acre, 40 acres, or just a beautiful cabin in the right location, please give us a call at Vernon Realty. We would love to give you a personal tour of the White Mountains. And really, we can find you a property no matter what your budget is. In the meantime, until the next tour, cheers.